Coming up on this program, we show you how to get connected. Find out how to choose an internet service provider. Discover the newest form of communication, electronic mail.
Ways down and ready to ride. One by one, billion by billion, and holding up half the sky. Raise your hand if you're ready and willing. If you know it's time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a
Hello, everybody. Wow. I'm disappearing into the Matrix again. It's a hard go at this life. Sorry, I didn't mean to break right into song. I have been fiddling with this fucking green screen a lot. Anyways, hi everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day, have had a wonderful day. If you missed it, we've already been live today. That's gonna happen all week this week. 2 shows a day. That's right, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, for me anyways. And it will continue as we all go through our Credence and Mikey withdrawals. I also think it's good for us to get to know each other a little bit better. The daytime crew. My apron today was lovely, Cindy. Thank you. Yes, Cellulite Yoga Pants. Thank you very much, as usual. The cake turned out lovely, by the way. I will be posting it. I did prepare the video. Ooh! Oh, can I get my boobs in the heart? Boobs in the heart for KC Carey. Thank you so much. You're so sweet. I love it, love it, love it. Oh, why is that so low? I need it higher. There we go. Oh, guys, it is a Monday. Now, so I've already prepped our videos for tonight. For tonight, we're going to continue on with the grandparent time saga. That'll be our evening as we go through this week. And then tomorrow morning, we're going to be doing Protection Order Court while I make cookies. Now, today, we managed to do a full cake, and we finished before the docket was done. I thought the timing was impeccable, and we're going to try and replicate that tomorrow. Anyways, also, I really like working in the kitchen when there's nobody about, but that's not always the case. So, plans sometimes vary, but we'll be here together tomorrow. John made it just barely. I saw your hair dye picture in one of the Discords. Yeah. We're back at it again with these, the needed ingredients now for tomorrow so that you can be prepared. Yeah, once I figure them out, Sherry. Honestly, I think I might have a pre-pack of cookies, but we'll see what we have. I have to go to the store later tonight anyway, so I don't remember. But I know Thursday's ingredients, and I'll post those tomorrow. Let's, oh, look at this. Before we get going. Yay! Hi! Thank you! Sherry, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know what, Sherry? Let's just be fucking real about it, okay? I'm gonna go show you what we need for ingredients. Paisley's not even fucking around anymore. I'm gonna play this and I'll show you how loud. Let's enjoy this. These people fighting.
Time in 2023 that you went into, let me back up actually. Did Chloe have her own bedroom, to your knowledge, at Carlina and Jamie's?
Yes, but Carlina slept in the bedroom.
So My question was that, so she had her own bedroom, correct?
Yes, but it was like hers and Carlina's bedroom.
So did Chloe have her own bed there?
Yes, with Carlina.
Did she have pictures up in her room?
Yes, some pictures.
Did she have her own toys in the room?
Yes, sir.
Did she have clothes in her room?
Yes, sir.
And how many clothes would you approximate?
Can you repeat that? I didn't hear you.
I mean, did she have sufficient clothes to spend a number of days there?
Yes, she did.
Did she have too many clothes in your estimation?
No, sir.
And isn't it true that at one point you told Carlina to take down all the pictures of Taylor in Chloe's room?
I told her that it might be making her sad. Yes.
And so you told her to take down the pictures.
I don't think I asked her to take them down, but I did mention that it was making Chloe sad.
In fact, didn't you tell her you need to take them down if you want Chloe to come over for the weekends?
No, that's not true, sir.
That would be a super cunty thing to say. Anyways, Sherry, here it is. This is Canada's #1 selling baking mix brand. Betty Crocker. I'm sure you guys have that. Hi, Courtney. That would be super cunty, right? And I'm going to add to this and make this my base. But it will be, we also need butter. I'll add an egg probably. A little bit of flour, baking soda. And then this simpler than scratch makes 12 cookies. So this, and this I think costs like $2. So this will be my my base. Well, I make a really good cookie recipe, but it honestly makes like 167 cookies or something like that, and it is an ordeal for my ADHD to bake that many cookies, and it's an ordeal for my ass to eat that many cookies, especially when I'm trying to go to the gym. So that's why I bought this instead of buying all the ingredients to make the other good cookies. But we will make them one day. But I think for now we can work on just having a 12 cookies. Because we did make a cake today. By the way, my roommate, I left one piece of cake out for him. And he firstly accused me of eating it all. I didn't eat it all, but I did hide it. And I'm trying to barter more cake for an avocado roll. I'm like, go get me an avocado roll and I could give you some more cake. Courtney, I love it. Oh, I love it. Okay, anyways, so let's continue with this fucking shit show. And this is what we have to look forward to tomorrow. It's already posted. You can set your time. Yeah. Weed, cheese, popcorn. That sounds good. Popcorn's on the agenda tonight. Casey Carey. Popcorn's on the agenda. Later, though? I don't know. My intermittent fasting has sort of gone out the... It went out the window because there's a pie in the window.
Isn't it true that you would tell Carlina that you did not want Chloe to talk to Taylor?
No, sir, that's not true. I always encourage the relationship between Chloe and Taylor.
And what have you done since March of 2024 to encourage that relationship?
I have done nothing but wonder why the communication stopped, sir.
So you have nothing but wonder. You never wrote anything to Taylor?
No, I have not wrote her. I have a job now and I have no more storage on my phone to download any more apps.
So
That's the opposite of a humble brag. That is a poor flex. I don't know what that is. Um, a poor passe. I don't know. Bitch, we've all been there. Guess what? You bought a house. It leads me to believe that you can finance storage, extra storage. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just does. It just leads me to believe that. And B, that is a horrible excuse. This is, I think, Crystal, I think you're right. Crystal's here, and this is stepmom crazy behavior. I have a wonderful stepmother who never did anything like this, and just is not anything like this. But yet the stepmother, like, moniker follows a stepmom sometimes, and they can be really treated poorly. In this case, Kelsey, you need to back off. I know it's your husband. I know you have 2 other kids. But even the fact that she's talking about the pictures of this child's mother who's incarcerated, that's a bother to me. That's a bother. I'm having a bother. You know, that's a bother. Anyways. And today's cake was very easy, by the way. Ingredients were just a cup of sugar, a half a cup of oil, 2 eggs, vanilla, flour, baking powder, milk, raspberries, and it was delicious.
But you physically haven't wrote a letter?
No, sir.
And have you sent anything from Chloe to Taylor since March of this year?
As I stated previously, I would have to double check, but I do not believe so. I do believe the last thing I sent Taylor was a couple pictures of us from spring break.
Isn't it true that there was a time that you walked into Chloe's bedroom at Carlina and Jamie's and got mad when you saw Chloe take pictures out of her baby album and line them up of Taylor?
No, sir.
So prior to Taylor Morgan going to jail, isn't it true that you predominantly would drop off Chloe at Carlina and Jamie's?
Objection asked and answered.
Abstain.
Isn't it true that when Taylor was not incarcerated, she was living with her mother and dad?
Yes, I believe that's true.
Well, is it your understanding that there was a prior court order that Taylor was to have supervised parenting time at one point by her parents?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And even beyond any supervised parenting time, would you admit that when Taylor has not been incarcerated, that she had been living with her parents?
It's to my understanding that Taylor's always lived with her parents, sir.
Yes. So whenever Taylor would be exercising her parenting time, or it was her time with Chloe, Chloe was over at Jamie and Carlina's, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's been for many years, correct?
Chloe lived with Ori and Taylor the first year she was born, and then she lived with Jamie and Carlina. I apologize. I'm just looking for my phone charger.
Aren't we all just always looking for our fucking phone chargers? Uh,
Have you ever threatened Chloe that you would break her arm?
No, sir, never.
Did you ever tell Chloe that Taylor Morgan is not coming home for a long time?
No, sir.
Isn't it true that you have told Chloe that her mother is worthless?
No, sir, that is not true.
Isn't it true you would tell Chloe that Carlina is telling people that Ori is not Chloe's daughter?
Can you repeat the question, sir?
Isn't it true that you have told Chloe that Carlina is telling people that Ori is not Chloe's father?
Yes, I've told a few members of my family what's going on.
No, have you told Chloe?
Oh, no, sir. No.
Isn't it true you have told Carlina that you beat Chloe's ass because she would not go and play with the other children?
No, sir, that is not true.
Isn't it true Carlina responded that you should have put her in timeout? And your response was that that's not how we do things around here?
No, sir, I do not believe that that is true whatsoever.
So I want to go back to about March of 2022. Um, isn't it true that you got into a significant car accident?
I'm gonna object, Your Honor, of how that's relevant.
Yeah, Mr. Bartel, how is that relevant?
Well, it's as a proffer of proof that they reached out to my clients to come pick up the child, Your Honor, and to take the child and care for the child because that child was in that accident. It further goes to the dynamics here that she has pled to a felony. She endangered the children, and with regards to even this specific child.
Okay. Well, I will allow it to the extent that it's relevant to this case and to Chloe.
Okay, can you re-ask the question, sir?
Yes, isn't it true in March of 2022 you got into a significant car accident
That is true.
and you had pled no contest to assault causing great bodily harm less than murder?
No, sir, I pled no contest to attempt to do great bodily harm / less than murder.
And that is a felony?
That is a 5-year felony, yes.
Okay, that was reduced from a charge of driving under the influence causing death, correct?
I'm gonna object
I
of
don't
how this is
understand.
relevant to Chloe.
Well, if I'll allow it if Mr. Bartel can tie it up that it's some way relevant.
Well, Your Honor, I get it. The other side doesn't want any background information to come in, and I leave it to this court to direct me. But this court needs to have some of this background. I can't just jump into everything as to one particular question because that would be a lack of foundation.
Well, tie it up. Maybe if you asked if the child was present when that happened, that
Yeah.
Obviously that would
Yeah.
be relevant.
I will. So in this accident, was Chloe present?
Yes, sir, she was.
She was in the vehicle
Yes, sir.
and she got injured?
No, sir. She had bruising from her seatbelt.
So she got injured.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, you're trying to minimize it, correct?
Pardon me?
Otherwise, you're minimizing it, aren't you?
She had bruising on her neck from her seatbelt, sir.
She went to the hospital. Is that not correct?
Yes, everyone went to the hospital, sir.
And I don't mean to disturb this situation or be insensitive, but there was a minor child that died, correct?
My son, Julian Mansfield. Yes, sir.
And he was not wearing a seatbelt, correct?
That is correct.
here, Kelsey. I'm sorry. I am of the opinion I've never driven with a child in my car without a seatbelt. It's never been an option. I'll fucking wait all day. Like, it's just not, I don't let adults drive in my car without seatbelts on. So that is a very, very, very relevant detail. Like, it's one thing to be involved in a car wreck and then have a child injured, but to be a DUI and then to have it cause the death of one of the children. Yeah, and Crystal's right. She's judging the other mom. Who knows what she's in jail for? God damn it! I hope it's not the same shit. He's gonna come in and be bothered about the cake. He's moaning.
And he was in the front seat right next to you, correct?
Correct.
And Chloe was the only one that was wearing a seatbelt, correct?
Chloe and Giovanni were the only ones that did not unbuckle because we were almost home. That is correct.
Well, isn't this the same day? Let me ask you, why were you going home?
I'm going to object how this is
Pardon?
relevant. This is
Your
not
Honor,
trial
this-
2.0 of Kelsey Cronkite. It needs to be relevant to Chloe. I don't see how the circumstances surrounding this accident are relevant.
Was involving the minor child who got into an accident, Your Honor, that had significant bruising, had to go to a hospital, and I am going to get to the point where the grandparents were called. So all this is relevant, Your Honor.
Well, I'll allow it to some extent. There was a case called In Re Taurus X, which is an older case. But in that case, they said how one parent treats a child, a particular child, is indicative of how they may treat the other child. So I'll allow it to that extent. Re-ask the question, Bartel.
Okay. So let me actually back up. So at some point, did you or someone call Carlina and or Jamie Toledo to come pick up Chloe?
My husband was with Jamie. So when my husband was notified of the accident, Jamie was also notified of the accident because Ori and Jamie were together. So Jamie
it
probably
true,
called Carlina.
So isn't it true though, Jamie and Carlina are the ones that took Chloe to the hospital?
Yes, because I was in the ICU and one of my children passed away, and my 4-year-old son was also in the PICU in Kalamazoo, and Ori needed them to make sure Chloe was okay.
Okay, so people were in ICUs. That was a pretty significant car accident, not just a fender bender.
Yes, sir.
And that was a one car accident, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you hit a tree, correct?
Yes, sir. After I was knocked unconscious.
And there was no icy road conditions, correct?
It was sprinkling, but it was not icy, no, sir.
And now let me come back. So what was the reason for you going home? Where were you?
I'm going to
coming
object
from?
again, Your Honor. This isn't relevant.
Yeah,
Why she was going
how's
home.
it relevant where she was going?
Because I want to get to the point she was actually coming from.
I missed all the good part because of him finding the cake. I'm gonna go ration some fucking cake. What happened? Somebody summarize, please, what I missed.
From Jamie and Carlina's actually, where she didn't drop the child off, where she actually got mad at Carlina because Taylor wasn't home at 5:30 rather than the 6 o'clock time period and was being childish.
Okay, well, ask her that question rather than some other nebulous question that may not be relevant.
Isn't it true that you were coming from Jamie and Carlina's residence?
Yes, that's true.
Isn't it true that you were there originally to drop off Chloe at 5:30?
That's when Chloe was supposed to be dropped off. Yes, sir.
And isn't it true that Taylor was not there even though the time is 6 p.m. for the drop off?
Yes, it was supposed to be 6.
And isn't it true that you said, well, if she's not here, I'm not leaving Chloe for her parenting time?
Ori wanted Chloe to be with her
That's
mother
not
for
my
her
question.
parenting time.
Isn't it
What, can you
true you
repeat your
said,
question, sir?
isn't it true you said if Taylor's not here right now, I'm not leaving Chloe here?
Yeah, sounds like something I would say.
Isn't it true that you were told that she's going to be home shortly?
Yeah, Ori was gonna come back to the house and pick her up and bring her back to Taylor. Correct. At 6 o'clock. And Taylor still never showed up.
I was there. My daughter came to me.
Hold
the
on,
accident.
hold
Hey,
on.
Taylor,
Miss Morgan, you cannot speak. You have an opportunity to speak when you testify. Don't interrupt and do not interject.
can I just ask that the court put Taylor on mute, baby?
Okay. We'll mute you at this point, Miss Morgan. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Bartel.
And isn't it true Jamie and Carlina took Chloe for that weekend after being in the hospital?
I'm unaware, sir. You would have to ask my husband that. I was in the ICU.
Do you know who Stephanie Plain is?
She's my paternal grandmother.
Your paternal grandmother. Okay. And when's the last time you had contact with her?
A few months ago when we got in an argument.
Okay. When you say a few months ago, like 2 months ago, or
I'm unaware, sir.
isn't it true that you told Stephanie Plain in December of 2023 that Chloe was lying to you all the time?
There was a point where Chloe was lying a lot, yes.
No, the question was, and if the court could direct her, I get it. She wants to get her story in. I asked, did you
I
tell
just don't
Stephanie
understand.
Plain?
I'm sorry.
Well, you were actually testifying as if it was fact that Chloe was lying, and maybe she was or wasn't. My question was there a time in December of 2023 that you told Stephanie Plain that Chloe was lying to you all the time?
I don't recall, sir.
Isn't it true that Stephanie Plain has voiced her displeasure of you guys, you and Ori, not allowing contact between Carlina and Jamie and Chloe?
No, sir, that's incorrect.
And isn't it true that that you have called her a fucking cunt because she disagrees with your cutting
I
off
would
the
object
ties?
how my client or Miss Cronkite's relationship with Stephanie Plain is relevant to grandparenting time.
Okay, Mr. Bartel, how is it relevant?
Your Honor, it's relevant from the standpoint as to the connection of, and I'm trying to establish some stuff for impeachable stuff in the future with Stephanie Plain, but Stephanie Plain has some information as to the connection to Chloe and Chloe to this particular witness and Jamie and Carlina.
Well, I'll allow it for the limited purposes of potential impeachment or credibility, but it's maybe, again, it's tenuous as to how it relates other than that.
Isn't it true that Miss Plain had come to Chloe's birthday party this last year and you made her leave?
That is correct.
And isn't it true because you made her leave because she doesn't agree with your stance with regards to the contact between Chloe and Jamie and Carlina?
No, sir, that's not true. That's not why I made my grandmother leave my property.
Isn't it true that you told her you have nothing to talk to her ever again unless she can realize that the accident that include Chloe was not your fault?
No, that's not true.
He's going to get me the roll, you guys. I'm so lucky. I had to fight for this cake. I fought him. And then I prepaid some cake. Let's see what I get. And yes, Ori likes wild Wormans.
Isn't it true you have cut her off from seeing Chloe or any of your children?
That is correct.
Isn't it true that you've cut Cindy and Don Plain off from Chloe or any of your children?
I'm gonna
That
object
is
of how
correct.
this is relevant to the grandparenting time issue.
Okay, how is it relevant, Mr. Bartel?
Well, Your Honor, I'll scratch that. I'll get into some other questions, then that could be the final one, I guess.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Cheshire Cat, for paying it forward.
Do you know Cindy Plain?
She is my uncle's seventh wife. Yes.
Okay, and Don Plain, do you know him?
That would
And
be my
thank you,
uncle.
Casey Carey.
Okay.
His
And what's the
seventh wife?
importance of seventh wife?
I gotta tell you something. I feel like I would make a very good seventh wife. I think I'd also make a very good second wife, to be honest with you. But I think I would make an impeccable seventh wife.
Wife.
He's been married 7 times. It's his seventh wife.
Okay.
That's how I know her.
And isn't it true you would take Chloe over to visit with her on routine basis for family dinners?
I'm gonna object how this is relevant to grandparenting time.
Okay, Mr. Bartel?
I mean,
And
Your
we
Honor, I
would
can
visit
jump
with
in.
them as well.
I can jump into the statement she made. I'm just trying to lay the foundation as to where they were and the connection there, Your Honor.
And I still don't understand
Me-
how her relationship with other family members is relevant to grandparenting time, or her statements to other family members is relevant to grandparenting time.
I don't know, perhaps maybe statements such as the grandparents are good people helping out with Chloe and stuff. I got to establish a foundation. Unfortunately, council doesn't understand foundation.
Well, maybe ask her those questions, and if there's an objection to the foundation, we'll
I
let
guess
you
from now on, I'm going to, Your Honor. I'm going to jump in and not do foundation.
know. Okay.
So isn't it true that you have indicated to Cindy and or Don Plain that Carlina and Jamie Morgan are great grandparent or good grandparents to Chloe?
I don't recall, sir. No,
You don't recall ever saying that?
I don't recall. No,
Isn't it true that you have acknowledged to them that they had a close relationship?
I don't recall. No,
Isn't it true that you acknowledge how happy?
Isn't it true that I will send a personal thank you letter to whoever counts how many times he says, "Isn't it true?"
Chloe was in the presence of Carlina and Jamie?
no, sir.
Isn't it true in front of them that you would make comments to Chloe that her mother would not be coming home from prison for a long time?
No, sir.
Isn't it true that you would disparage Taylor Morgan to Chloe in front of Cindy and Don Plain?
No, sir.
Isn't it true that actually, let's strike that.
It's lazy lawyer speak. Yeah, asked and answered would be the good objection around here. Asked and answered. Yes. Isn't it true that I love you? Boop, boop, boop. Ooh. No way. No way, Jose. I love
Isn't
to
it true
critique
that
them on the
you would
internet.
text Cindy indicating that Don was responsible for Ori's drug addiction?
I'm gonna object of how that's relevant.
Okay, how is
I
it
mean, well, if we're gonna get into best interest factors, and as this court indicated as to things that affect the child, including whether it's drug abuse, whether it's car accidents, almost killing children, I think it is relevant.
Yeah, what's your response to that, Miss Reed?
I don't believe this third party communication is relevant to the grandparents' claim of substantial risk of harm or the best interest factors.
Well, the best interest factors are pretty encompassing, so it does go to, again, the person's mental, physical health. So if we can tie that in, if there is in fact an issue of drug addiction, we can tie that up. The court would hold that it's relevant. So I'll let you get into that, Mr. Bartel. Again, subject to tying it up at later witness or evidence.
Isn't it true that you acknowledge in text and otherwise to Cindy Plain that your husband has a drug addiction?
About a year ago, there was an issue with my Uncle Don and Jamie Morgan giving my husband
No,
Vicodin.
that's not the question. Your Honor, she wants to get her story in. Can we direct again?
Yeah, ma'am.
I thought I was
ma'am,
answering the
ma'am,
question.
no,
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
he asked you a question whether your husband had a drug addiction. You don't need to go into a story about how it happened or how it arose. He just asked you that question.
Okay, can you repeat your question, Mr. Bartel?
Isn't it true that you admitted to Cindy Plain that your husband has a drug addiction?
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
Had.
Isn't it true that he still uses drugs?
No, that's not true.
When's the last time, to your knowledge, he used drugs?
I'm not sure when he stopped working for Mr. Morgan.
He's moving around a lot. He's giving me meth vibes.
So about 9 months ago.
10 months ago, yeah, almost, yeah.
And what drug was he using?
Vicodin.
Isn't it true he used cocaine?
No, sir.
He's never used cocaine.
In the past. That was discussed at our last court date where we did this.
Well, thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome.
Where is he now, actually?
Isn't it true that you had text Cindy indicating that when you had the falling out, that Carlina and Jamie spoiled the children too much?
I don't recall, sir, no.
Isn't it true that Cindy Plain confronted you and told you about how she felt how you were doing the wrong thing, taking Chloe away from her grandparents?
No, sir, I don't recall that either.
And do you still have contact with Cindy Plain?
No, sir.
And when's the last time you had contact with her?
Maybe 3, 4 months ago.
And so you guys had a falling out as well.
Yes, sir.
And with Don Plain, when's the last time you had communication with him?
Probably about 6 months ago.
And is it true that you've had a falling out with him as well?
Yes, sir.
And isn't it true that you used to take Chloe over there for Sunday dinners or weekend dinners routinely?
I'm gonna object. I don't see how that's relevant to grandparenting time.
How's it relevant, Mr. Bartel?
It shows you at least the contacts between these witnesses and whether or not she can verify or not, and therefore they have knowledge as to Chloe and things that were going on.
Well, I'll allow for that purpose only to establish that foundation and their ability to potentially testify if they are.
Yes. Isn't it true that they would routinely come over for, or you would take Chloe and the other kids over to the Plains house for family dinners?
May I ask what routine is, Mr. Bartel?
On a pretty regular basis, at least once a month.
Once a month, maybe? Yeah.
Just a second, Your Honor. I'm going to look up my notes.
I was being told I can't get my sushi roll.
So I asked you earlier about a statement that you told Carlina a few years ago. I and you'd answer it, but this is an actual quote, I believe, from a text. Isn't it true you told Carlina that, quote, we know that it's extremely important to her mental health to still have a relationship with you?
Yes, sir, I sent that text.
And that was in reference to Chloe, correct?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bartel, if you would give me the quote again. I didn't get it all.
It was, we know that it's extremely important to her mental health to still have a relationship with you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Because we're not ordering it from a restaurant because it's expensive. So he was just gonna pick it up at the grocery store, but it's 6:45, which means most of the tuna is, or not tuna, but most of the avocado roll, all of it's gone. And I'm already pushing his kindness limit, getting him to go to the grocery store. He's not going to go to multiple stores. So I think I'll have to settle for some tuna tataki to share instead of my avocado roll. And yes, his cake ration will be reduced immensely. Yeah. Maybe tomorrow I'll go get my own sushi. There's a good place. The problem is here, sushi sells out really early in the day for some reason. It's crazy. We live on an island. I made a backup meal plan anyways. Ew, are you picking your nose, Aaron? What the fuck? Of a loaded baked potato.
Would you admit that when you would drop off Chloe or pick her up at Jamie and Carlina's residence, that there were other family members on the other side of the family that you would see routinely over there?
Occasionally, I would see the great grandma.
Okay. No one else?
Not really, no.
They have
Isn't it
pirate
true
cookies, I
that
think.
in about
Isn't it
October
true?
or November of 2023, you had Carlina and Jamie take Chloe because you and your husband were having an extreme fight or maybe even breaking up potentially?
Are you asking if that's true or not?
Yes.
Yes, that's true.
And so, do you recall how many days Jamie and Carlina took Chloe?
I do believe it was just for a day, just for the day. I don't even think she spent the night, but it's been so long I don't recall.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Reed, do you wish to do any direct, or are you gonna reserve and recall?
I'll do direct right now and maybe some cross, but Kelsey, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, regarding this text message that you sent that says that you think it's extremely important to Chloe's or her mental health that they have a relationship. Do you recall when you sent that?
It was the same time when I showed up at their doorstep with Chloe, for Chloe to see them. Those were the same things.
Okay. And was that a year or two ago?
I do believe Chloe was 3, getting ready to turn 4.
And do you still hold that belief today?
No, I do not.
And why not?
I'm going to
It's
object to relevance as to an opinion of a stepmother, Your Honor. That's for the court to decide.
Well, I'll allow it. She can testify. She's testified to a lot of other things, so.
That's fine. I would only ask as long as there's no hearsay in that, because I have a feeling that's what's coming down the hatch.
Okay, well, you can object at that
Yep.
time.
I'm sorry, Miss Reed, could you please repeat yourself?
Why do you not believe that it's currently, or why do you not still hold the same belief that it's extremely important for the maternal grandparents to have contact for Chloe's mental well-being?
Why do I think it's not important? I guess I'm just not. Can you say it one more time?
So
I'm sorry.
you sent a text message that said that you believe or that it's extremely important for Chloe's mental well-being for her to see the maternal grandparents.
Yes, that's how I felt.
And you do not feel that way anymore.
No, I don't.
Why not?
Because of what has come out in counseling and the accusations that have been made against the grandparents. I don't think that that's in the best interest for my stepdaughter. And she's just doing so much better since not going there.
Can you explain what you mean by she's doing so much better since not going there?
She's just like opened up so much as a little girl. She used to never like sing to the radio or like sing the songs out loud or dance in front of everybody and now she's doing those things. She's not afraid to use her voice, and she's she's growing up and she's thriving. She's just amazing in all aspects. And we didn't see the improvement until she quit going to the residence of Jamie Morgan and Carlina Toledo.
Has she acted depressed in any way?
No, ma'am.
Has she been upset and crying?
No, ma'am.
Has she been locking herself in her room?
Absolutely not.
Has her behavior changed other than being more open and dancing and singing? Has her behavior changed in any way since she's been no longer seeing Carlina and Jamie Morgan?
I mean, like I said, she's just thriving. She's doing amazing in school. She's facing her fears and riding the rides at the fair that she, was scared to ride before.
They sort of remind her of the car crash that I was in with her where I killed her older stepbrother. Ma'am, this child has gone through serious trauma recently. I'm unsure. And this is so rehearsed, yeah. Very rehearsed. It's weird. Weird. So, but if we remember where this case started, at least what the judge said was that he awarded grandparenting time, and Jennifer Reed and the dad and the stepmom took it to the appeal court, which sent it back for a review. Now I gotta hear more disappointment.
She's, I don't know how to describe it. She's just so much brighter, just happier.
Okay. And then I'm going to go over in their motion for grandparenting time on paragraph 36. It says it should be noted that plaintiff father's wife became just mean toward petitioners in June 2023 after she was discharged from probation. It appears that she became brazen with no more legal oversight in her life. Are you still on probation?
On June 2nd, that's when I was put on probation.
This is June 2023, you were discharged.
No, ma'am.
You're still on probation?
Yes, ma'am. I am currently on probation. I've been on probation for about 12 months or longer, maybe 14 months now, through the Calhoun County court system.
Okay, and for the allegation that you just became mean towards petitioners in June of 2023, is that true?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, are you following all conditions of your probation?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Objection, relevance.
Well, I guess I'll allow it for what it's worth.
Okay, that's fine.
In paragraph 39 in their motion, it says plaintiff father's wife has a foul mouth, controls plaintiff father, is not a good role model for the minor children to be around. If anything, plaintiff father's wife should not be around the minor children anymore. So I'm going to break this down. Do you have a foul mouth?
I mean, anyone can have a foul mouth.
Do you swear around the children?
I try not to.
Okay. It says that you are not a good role model for the minor children to be around. Do you believe that's true?
I believe that I am a great role model for my children and my stepdaughter, Chloe.
Okay. And it says, if anything, plaintiff father's wife should not be around the minor child anymore. Do you believe that's in Chloe's best interest?
I have
Objection to
been-
relevance.
These are
I
their
mean, my point is, Your
allegations.
Honor, I don't care if that really comes in, Your Honor, but I keep getting objections on the other side for other things that are way more relevant than
Yeah.
whether or not the stepmother believes
Well,
she should be.
I understand, but obviously if we get into the best interest, the court has to consider that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
Do you believe it's in the best interest of Chloe that you not be around her anymore?
No.
And why is that?
I've been around Chloe since she was 18 months old. I've never left her. I've always been there with her. And I feel like I'm the only stable mother-like figure she's ever had in her life. And I think it would break her heart if she wasn't allowed to be around me anymore because to her, I am her mommy Kelsey.
Have you ever had any CPS involvement?
No, ma'am.
Is there any domestic violence in your home?
Never.
Are there any verbal altercations in front of the children?
There was one time where Ori and I got into an argument and I left and I took all of the children with me. And that was where Mr. Bartell asked me if I brought Chloe to Jamie and Carlina when Ori and I got into an argument. And I did that simply because the children didn't need to hear the argument. So the argument took place after the children were no longer in the home, ma'am.
Okay. And how do you discipline the kids in the house?
I put them in timeout.
And does Ari do the same?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When was the last time you had contact with Carlina or Jamie?
The day after Thanksgiving, so
Okay.
I do believe it's probably like November 26th or 27th of 2023.
And was that in person or text message?
It was a text message.
Okay, but you haven't had any in-person contact with them since then?
With Carlina specifically,
Yes.
no, ma'am.
Oh,
I don't believe so.
okay. Just looking. And do you control Ari's actions?
No, ma'am.
For phone calls with Taylor in prison, how are those arranged?
By my husband, Ori.
Is it set up that Taylor has to call Ori, or are you guys able to call into the prison to get Taylor?
No, we cannot call. My husband had to pay money, pay like $50 or $60 to set up a phone thing just so he could have contact with Miss Morgan.
So is it Miss Morgan that has to initiate that contact?
Correct.
Okay. Is it like a special system that you guys have to use?
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but yes, it is.
Okay. And there's no way that like you guys are going to be blocking her through that system?
I don't believe so. I never set up a phone for her. It was only, she could only call Ori's phone now that I think about it.
Okay.
She could call my phone, but we couldn't ever talk because I never set up an account to talk to her. Because she was already communicating with Ori.
Okay.
But I did set up a JPay to write her letters. And she wrote me some letters.
And do you have to pay for JPay?
Yes, ma'am, I had to pay for it.
And how much is it?
I think it's so many dollars per letter you send. You have to buy so many stamps. You can buy like 20 stamps for $20 or something. And then every time you send one picture, you have to use one stamp. And every time you send a letter, you have to use one stamp. So every time I was communicating with her, I was paying for that out of my pocket to communicate with her.
I have no further questions.
Okay. Mr. Bartell, any recross?
Yeah, so you made reference to a counselor. And as part of the reason why you do not believe Chloe should see the grandparents here. Did you initiate that contact with the counselor?
I don't understand the question, sir.
So did you initiate the contact to set up for Chloe to see this counselor?
My husband and I did that together, sir.
Okay, so how did you do that?
By contacting Grace Health.
Okay, by telephone, email?
Well, Ori had to go there in person.
Okay, so did you go with him in person?
The times he went to fill out the papers, no, I didn't go with him.
Okay. And how did you find this counselor?
Uh, it was about 3 months after my car accident, and I called Grace Health looking for mental health treatment and therapy because I had lost a child. And they placed me with this counselor, and she's been my counselor ever since.
So this is Allison Bartha,
That's correct, sir.
and so she is your counselor,
That is correct. She is my
And you-
therapist.
and you have been seeing her for almost, I don't know, just approximately a couple years now.
Probably like 2 years and 2 months.
And you still seeing this counselor?
Yes, sir. I talked to her. It's mandatory through my probation and through the Calhoun County Court that I remain my treatment with Miss Bartha for the length of my probation period.
Isn't it true that you have interacted with her outside the counseling sessions?
None of that is true, sir.
Okay, so you've never gone to have a drink with her or have dinner with her?
Absolutely not. That is
She's
not
never
true.
been, she's never been over to your house?
No, she has not.
You have not gone out on social settings with her?
No, sir.
And is she friends with people that are related to Mr. Cronkite?
She is friends with Mr. Cronkite being Ori, his brother's wife, and that is because they work together, I guess, at Grace Health.
And there's never been any interaction outside of the counseling session, you said, between you
No, sir,
and this
never.
counselor?
No, sir, never.
So it was your decision, though, to have Chloe see this particular counselor, correct?
It was the decision of Chloe's father, sir.
And you indicated that Chloe's doing much better now. She's singing, she's dancing, she's not depressed, all this stuff. I guess not locking herself in her bedroom.
Pardon me?
You had said Chloe's been doing much better. She's singing, dancing, not depressed, all this stuff since
Yes,
she's not seeing the grandparents is your claim, correct?
That is correct, sir.
And when did she start being depressed and sad and everything?
I guess I don't understand. Can you reiterate?
Well, she's not depressed anymore. When did she start becoming depressed and sad?
She was upset and sad because she lost her mom, Taylor, and she lost her brother, Julian. And then right after she lost her brother, Julian, her mom went away too.
So you're saying she's been upset and sad since March of 22, correct?
Correct, sir. We all have suffered a tremendous loss.
So your claim is that she's always been sad and depressed for about a 20-month period before you saw counseling.
No, we went to see a counselor right after the accident, and the kids were too young. They just wouldn't open up to him. And they let us know that as long as the children are speaking to us about how they feel, that's what was most important. So we did seek counseling treatment beforehand as well.
What counselor was that?
I don't remember the gentleman's name, but it was an older gentleman also designated to us and Chloe and her brother Uriah through Grace Health, sir.
Did you speak to Taylor about putting Chloe into counseling that time with this gentleman?
No, sir, but I am not Chloe's mother, so I cannot put Chloe into counseling.
But to your knowledge, Ori did not speak with Taylor to put Chloe into that counseling, correct?
No, sir. As I stated before, Miss Morgan has to be the one to call us as she is in prison.
Well, so when did this counseling occur, I guess? That's the month and year.
May of 2022.
Okay, okay, so you had earlier said that she was not incarcerated until June or July of 22, correct?
She was in jail first, and then she went to prison.
When did she go
And
to
sir, I'm
jail?
sorry, I don't remember the exact dates that Miss Morgan went to jail.
So even though you had put her into counseling at that time, as I understand it, you said she had always been kind of depressed and sad until this Allison Bartha, correct?
I don't agree. I don't feel like she was always depressed and sad. No, but she was sad and depressed from the loss of her brother and her mother. I guess I'm not understanding your question, sir.
I have no further questions, actually.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Reed, any further questions?
That is just tuna tataki, which is just sliced.
Ms. Reed?
So yummy.
Okay, so you have no additional redirect.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. The next witness, Mr. Bartel?
I would call Taylor Morgan.
Okay,
What name did you mention, Aaron? You kind
Miss
of,
Morgan, yeah, Taylor Morgan.
Sorry.
So we'll have
Taylor
to,
Morgan.
oh,
we'll
okay.
have to unmute her.
Am I free to go or do I stay?
Yeah, no, ma'am, you are, that does conclude your testimony. You're free to go. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
She'll have to tap something on the tablet to unmute. I cannot. I can
Okay.
only ask that she unmute, but I cannot unmute.
Miss Morgan, you're gonna have to have your, okay, you're unmuted apparently now. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can, Your Honor.
Okay, we can hear you now. So what we're gonna do, Miss Morgan, we're gonna have you sworn in, so raise your right hand and be sworn.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Bartel.
Thank you. Can you state your name for the record?
Taylor Renee Morgan, Morgan.
And do you know Chloe Cronkite?
I do. That is my daughter.
And when is the last time you've seen Chloe in person?
Since 2022.
Okay. Do you approximately know the month?
March.
And how old is Chloe right now?
She's 6 years old.
And when, let me back up. When she was born, were you with the father, Ori Cronkite?
I was.
Okay. And how long were you guys together?
Until my daughter was 19 months old.
Okay. And then after that, you guys had separated.
Yes, we did.
And did there come a point that you actually lived with your parents, Carlina and Jamie Toledo?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And when did that start?
I lived with them while I was pregnant with Chloe. And me and Ori had got our own home. And once we separated when Chloe was 18 months old, I moved back to my parents' house.
Okay. And did you and Ori ever live with your parents with Chloe?
Yes, we did when she was born
And for about how long?
for about 7 months.
And then you moved out after 7 months, and then you moved back in about 11 months later.
Yeah, we lived in a home that my parents purchased for us.
Okay. So your parents purchased a home for you guys, for both of you and Chloe.
Correct.
During that time period that you were living at home initially with Chloe, did your mom and father help you out, and Chloe?
Yes.
Okay, can you describe to the court how they helped out?
My mom would come and help me do laundry. They would give me money for food, give me money for gas to get to my appointments, to take my daughter to her appointments. Everything.
Were there ever times that your parents would get up in the middle of the night to help with Chloe?
Absolutely.
And I guess, was it more you and your parents taking care of Chloe when you were living at home?
Yes.
And was Mr. Cronkite helping, I guess, during that period, or was he working or doing something else?
He was always working with my father. Once I started working, his father would help with Chloe.
So the best I can tell, or correct me if I'm wrong, is that at least your mother helped you with a lot of things initially during those first 7 months or so that Chloe was born and living with you,
Yes.
Ori, and your parents.
Yes.
Okay. And when you moved out, was there still contact between your parents and Chloe?
Yes.
Okay, and you said you moved, how far away did you move in this house purchased by your parents?
Not even a 10-minute drive.
Okay. How often would your parents be over? One or both?
All the time.
Almost daily?
Yes.
And then during that time period, was that for visitation? Or was that for other reasons too?
All of the above.
Okay, could you, just so the court understands, could you describe the reasons why they came over?
My family would come over to just to see like how we were doing. They would come over and barbecue with us outside. My dad would bring over like the push lawnmower so we could mow our grass. Everything.
I know, and I get it. You're saying everything. Can you be any more descriptive? So you say your father brought the lawnmower over to cut the grass and such, and you guys did barbecues. Did your father help around the house with repairs or anything?
Yeah, he helped like with the paint, with our house, with our carpet. We got new carpeting. Him and Ori would put the new carpet in. They would bring us milk. They would bring us formula for Chloe, diapers, anything that we asked for, they were there. Laundry, soap, everything.
Would they bring over clothes for Chloe?
Yes, and for ourselves.
So is it fair to say they were providing financially significantly both for you and Ori and for Chloe?
Yes,
And did they also, I guess, engage with Chloe?
yes, they did.
Could you describe that to the court? Like, how would they engage with her?
They would be on the floor, crawling around with her, playing with her, helping her stand up to walk. That was their only grandchild.
Is that their only grandchild still?
Yes,
And so they played with Chloe.
yes,
Were there times that they would actually watch Chloe?
yeah.
Okay. Were there
So me and
times
Ori
that
could go out.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. What'd you say?
They would stay with her while we would go out to eat, so we could spend time with one another. Like we would go to the casino. We would go to Mount Pleasant because Ori wasn't 21. So they would, stay with my daughter.
Were there times that they would watch Chloe overnight because you and Ori went out?
Yeah.
During that period of time, just that period of time we're focused on right now, about how many overnights on average, whether it was weekly, monthly, or just in general, can you give the court a sense?
Since then,
No, no, no. That period of time that you moved out from your parents with Ori and were living with Ori before you moved back in with your parents. About how many overnights would your parents take Chloe?
like 2 or 3.
So during that entire time, 2 or 3, or are you talking about like
no.
month?
Like weekly.
So you're saying they would take them overnight, 2 to 3 overnights a week
Right.
during that whole approximate 11-month period?
Correct.
And was Ori fine with that?
Yes.
And that was because you and Ori were doing things.
Right.
Was there ever any concerns raised by Mr. Cronkite during that first 18 months of your parents taking care of Chloe?
No,
He never raised an issue.
never.
Did he ever indicate that they were not appropriately taking care of Chloe?
No.
From your vantage point, when you would come back with Ori, was Chloe well kept? I mean, was she fed and clean and bathed, etc.?
Yes.
Okay. So your parents would make sure that Chloe was always fed, clothed, bathed, and they took care of her 2 to 3 times a week during that 11-month period.
Yes.
How did Mr. Cronkite get along with your parents at that time?
Great. I mean, like they never had an argument.
And you said he was working for your dad, or he was?
Yep.
And what kind of business is that?
A construction business. My father owns Morgan's Concrete and Construction, And that's actually how I met Ori, is through my father.
So during still that time period I'm talking about, did it become evident that Chloe was attached to your parents?
Yes.
Could you describe how you knew that she was attached to your parents?
Because like when we would go over there, she would immediately like want them, like with her hands.
So it was very evident that she was comfortable around them
Yes.
and that she liked them. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Were there times where if you or Ori took Chloe away from your parents, that she would cry for them?
Absolutely.
Have your parents ever?
Yay, yay, yay. So exciting, NPC. Thank you so much. The memberships are being given out. Thank you and welcome to all the new members. You are in for a treat of a week. Guess why? Because we're doing 2 shows every day this week. We normally do 1 show a day plus 2 on Sundays, but this week you're getting double the fun. Tomorrow morning, check in at 9:55 Pacific, which is what, 12:55 East, where we're gonna go over a TPO hearing from Thurston County. Will it be about trees or bad neighbors? We don't know yet, but we're gonna find out together tomorrow while I bake cookies. It's gonna be a blast, but that's not even members only. That's just regular stuff. Members only every Sunday. It's fun. Thank you.
Abuse Chloe?
Never.
On that totally pleasant note, thanks.
They've never spanked her. They've never put her in timeout.
So did you ever see, and I'm just going to still focus on that time period, did they ever have to discipline her? Because I'm talking when she was approximately 7 month to about 18-month old.
No, they would never have to. She's never did anything wrong.
What are you doing? 10 months. Thank you for your support as always. I hope you're enjoying your vacation. That's so exciting. This lady, oh, this case, Mikey, we're all taking a toll on all of us. Yay! Lisa. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I heard about that. That's terrible news, but I hope you're having a good time. As always, I'm always amazed when people are like MB said she was in the airport the other day watching, and I'm just always laughing about that. Anyways, thank you for all your support always, everybody. And don't disappear for too long, Mikey.
So after that 18-month period, you and Ori, when Chloe was around 18 months old, I should say, you and Ori separated.
Yes.
Okay. And you had moved back in with your parents.
Yes.
And what did the arrangement with Chloe, what was that arrangement with Chloe as to your parenting time?
50-50, a week on, a week off.
And that was entered by this court previously, correct?
Yes.
And so for how long did that go on where you were living with your parents? 50-50.
Until I was incarcerated.
Do you know approximately when that was?
I couldn't tell you exactly.
Was it over a year?
Yes.
Okay. At least a few years?
Yes.
So a significant period of time. And so let me ask you this. You had testified about how close your parents were with Chloe up until 18 months old. So at this period of time, can you describe to the court how close Chloe was with your parents?
They were very close after she was 18 months old.
Yeah, so when you moved back in with your parents.
They were very extremely close.
And did Chloe, oh, go ahead.
Like we would take, my mom would, she would go swimming. We would take Chloe swimming to my grandfather's. We would take her to eat, shopping, everything.
Did she have her own bedroom at
She
your
does.
parents? Okay.
Yes, she
And
does.
there was some testimony that your mother actually sleeps in that bed. Is that really Chloe's bedroom?
That is Chloe's bedroom. My mom has her own bedroom with my father.
And did Chloe have clothes and toys at your parents' place?
Yes.
Okay. Did your parents help pay for those?
Yes.
And was she fed appropriately at your parents' house?
Yes.
And did your parents
Actually,
help?
CPS was called on me numerous times by my child's father's wife. And they've came to my mother's
Objection,
home.
I'm gonna say speculation, as any disclosures of who makes the initial call to CPS is always confidential.
Unless she knows. If she doesn't know specifically, then the court would sustain the objection.
Ms. Morgan, do you believe that it was the Mr. Cronkite's current wife that called CPS?
I
Well,
do.
hold on. I think that's the same objection, whether she believes that. If she doesn't have actual knowledge, I'm going to sustain the objection and strike the answer.
Do you have actual knowledge as to who called CPS on you?
Yeah, she told me she did.
Okay. And approximately how many times does CPS get called?
I want to say 7 to 12 times they showed up at my parents' home.
And any of those times, did CPS ever take Chloe away from you?
Absolutely not.
To the best of your knowledge, they found nothing wrong in the house or anything wrong with Chloe?
Correct.
Is that part of the reason why there have been maybe some animosity between his current wife towards you?
Objection, speculation.
Okay. Mr. Bartel?
She can have her opinion, the court can take her opinion for whatever it's worth, just like Miss Reed was asking opinions of Miss Cronkite.
Well, I'll allow it. I don't know that it's really relevant, but I'll allow it.
I guess, Miss Morgan, do you believe that is in part the animosity between Miss Cronkite and you?
I do.
At least, okay. And so During that time period, was Chloe, she was well fed?
Yes.
Okay. Were there any concerns of abuse towards Chloe?
No.
And was Chloe happy?
Yes.
Was she happy around your parents?
Absolutely.
Did she have a connection to them?
Yes, she did.
And was it a close connection?
A very close connection.
Can you describe that to the court?
She would look forward to going to my parents' house. When it was time for her to leave, she would kick and scream and cry to the point where we
When-
would have to.
Well, let me cut you off. I guess I'm a little confused myself. So I'm talking about when you were living with your parents. When you said they were Chloe was kicking or screaming. What do you mean
Yeah,
by that?
she didn't want to go back to her dad's house.
Okay, I understand. So you're saying during that time period she didn't want to go back to her dad's house.
Right.
She wanted to stay with you and your parents.
Yes.
Would she cry?
Yes, she would.
And you said she'd kick and scream.
Yes, she would.
Would you have to then physically force her to go over to her father's?
Yes.
And how often would that be happening?
Every time that she would be due to go back to their house. She would specifically, my daughter specifically told me out of her mouth that she didn't want to go
Objection,
back.
hearsay.
Sustained. Court will strike the answer. Ma'am, you can't say what Chloe has said.
All right.
But it was clear that she didn't want to go to her father's house.
Right.
Okay. And when she would come back from her father's house, can you describe her emotion when she would see you and your parents?
She would be so happy with joy. She would hug me and hold me and wrap her arms around my neck.
As if she didn't want to leave you?
Right.
So did that continue? Were you in court a second time by Mr. Cronkite taking you back to court then?
Yes.
And do you recall, if you recall, do you recall when that approximately was?
I want to say in 2021.
And did you have an evidentiary hearing?
We did.
Okay. And was your parenting time modified?
Yes, it was.
And what was it modified to, as you recall?
It was recalled that I had joint legal custody of Chloe and that I would see her on Wednesdays and every other weekend.
Okay. And as part of that order, was there ever a request by Mr. Cronkite that you have your parenting time in the presence of your parents?
Yes, it was.
And that was specifically made by Mr. Cronkite.
Yes.
And as Mr. Cronkite indicated, that he had trusted and felt Chloe was safe with your parents.
Yes.
And let me ask you this. Had he said that routinely since the birth of your child?
Yes, he has.
Up until the end of 2023?
Yes.
And so you exercise your parenting time every other weekend at your parents', which is what he wanted, correct?
Correct.
And when you exercise that parenting time, that was up until about March of 2022.
Yeah.
And was Chloe close to your parents?
Yes, she was.
She continued to be close in the same fashion as everything you described in those two other phases.
Yeah.
And could you describe to the court the things they would do together? Were there additional new things they would do beyond what you had already described?
Like going to the park, taking her to the park, taking her to go get ice cream. Like she wanted to be with them more than she wanted to be with me.
Did your daughter see them as parental figures?
Yeah.
And so this last time there was some talk about the accident that Kelsey Cronkite got it. Were you incarcerated at that time or were you out?
I was home. That was my visitation day, the day that that occurred. And Ori was in the garage with my father, and they left to go and get Chloe from the scene and brought her to me. And then we had to take her to the hospital.
So you went with your parents to the hospital?
I did not go, no, I stayed home.
So your parents then took Chloe to the
Yes.
hospital? So how long after that accident before you were incarcerated?
Like 3 months.
Approximately 3 months. Was Chloe still happy around your parents during that 3 month period?
Yes, she was.
Okay. Was she still closely bonded with them?
Absolutely.
Was she depressed when she was with you guys?
No,
Was she sad?
no,
Was she angry?
no,
Confused?
no,
And was she, like I said, was she hesitant to go to your parents?
no, absolutely not. She would
And
run right to the bedroom door, actually.
then again, I'm sorry, I got cut out.
She would run right to their bedroom door.
Do you mean when she would be dropped off for the parenting time?
Yep.
So you described when she was with you guys, she was basically the same close connection with the grandparents during that 3 month period before you were incarcerated. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you were incarcerated in approximately what, June or July of 2022?
June 29th of 2022.
And while you have been incarcerated, have you had communication with Chloe?
I've had no communication with her except from December until March, and that was through Ori and Kelsey.
So no, let me rephrase that. Did you have any communication with Chloe while your parents had Chloe?
Yes, that was the only communication I had with my daughter was through my parents.
Okay. And when your parents, so it was your understanding that your parents continued to have Chloe while you were incarcerated. Is that correct?
Correct.
And approximately how many times a week would you have communication with Chloe during that couple year period?
I would talk to her like twice a week when she was with my parents through the phone.
So it was pretty routine, twice a week.
Yes.
Did Ori ever at any point reach out to you during that whatever period of time, um, and want to have communication with you?
Not until December of 2023.
But all the way up until December of 2023, he never once reached out to you?
No,
Did his wife Kelsey?
no,
Did they ever send you any notes from Chloe?
no,
So to your knowledge, there was never any effort by Ori or his wife to have any communication with you.
not at all until December of 2023.
And they didn't do anything to help facilitate communication between Chloe and you.
Correct. He,
So in December of 2023, did there come a time that Ori and Kelsey were trying to get you to sign off on your legal rights?
yes,
And could you
I'm gonna object
describe?
how this is relevant to grandparenting time.
Mr. Bartel?
It's very relevant, Your Honor. It's relevant because the communication between the mother and the daughter is facilitated through the grandparents. Okay. And we have a published case actually on that. That's right on point, and that is why it's relevant, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Reed, any response?
I still don't see how this method of like communication or not communication is relevant to the grandparenting time today. It's been testified that there can be communication, but Miss Morgan has to initiate that from the jail to Ori.
they first initiated it with
No,
me.
look, Taylor.
Fine.
Sorry.
There's no question for you, Miss Morgan.
So, Your Honor, I mean, there it's clear there is a case out there, and let me get it. It's Keenan v. Dawson, okay? And the facilitation, and there's other ones.
What was the
too.
first name?
Keenan versus Dawson, okay? And it combines the testimony of individuals, and even in that particular case, a general psychologist who had never met with the child. That case dealt with a 2-year-old that passed. However, the psychologist testified specifically, and it was noted in the published opinion, about the harms that a young child can suffer when a parent dies or is not around. And that part of the family is cut off from the child. And the Court of Appeals in its published case, it was never overturned. And it was just a general psychologist or psychiatrist that testified about that, affirmed the trial court's decision that the cutting off of the entire family, and in that case, it was a deceased parent. This one's even stronger. That's why it's highly relevant, Your Honor.
Well, I'll
Can't get even much
I'll
closer.
allow you to go into it, Mr. Bartel, but go ahead.
Well, I mean, Your Honor, I would suggest reading that. That is more than on point in this particular matter, and that is why it's relevant. And I can provide, if the court wants, other cases that actually stand for that same proposition that have cited that particular case. And that is why when they question, why is it relevant to grandparenting? It is relevant.
Okay. Well, I've said I'd allow you to go into it, so go ahead.
So I get.
Actually, before you do, bro, I think we should be done for tonight because we have a show tomorrow morning. Plus, we have like fucking hours more of this tonight, for tomorrow. So, I think we should call it before he bores the shit out of us for the rest of this. Yeah. I'm gonna eat this, and then I'm gonna say goodbye, and then I'm gonna hope that you come by tomorrow. The live tomorrow morning is already posted. It's got a red background, a pretty picture of me on it, and a Thurston thing, and then tomorrow night's live will probably be at 6 too. I just ate that so fast. I love my chopsticks. Very good. I want to make some kimchi. That's on the agenda to be making for sometime in the future. Anyways, thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I really do appreciate you just hanging out, hanging out with me. We are gonna continue watching this. There's more of this, and then, like I said, tomorrow morning we have court at 9:55 Pacific. That's 12:55 East. I expect you all to report for duty unless you are on an approved vacation. In that case, we will accept late fee notes. If you can't make it, just pop by for leaving a comment later. And yeah, you want to learn how to use chopsticks, Carol? We should do that. I can teach you. I mean, I know how, so something I can do. Anyways, all right, you guys, I love you so much. I'm proud of you, and I'll see you in the next video. And maybe Ori and his fucking stepmomster won't be roaming all over the place tomorrow. We'll see. Will he finally speak? I don't know. Love you. Proud of you. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
Ways down and ready to ride.